Hello everyone, welcome to VBA Beyond Basics. Bismillah Rahman Rahim. In this video, I'm going to talk about the pop-up windows, how to use pop-up windows in Microsoft Excel and VBA. So, pop-up windows are of two types. One is simply giving you a message and telling you either to accept or reject, and these are called the message boxes. And then we will talk about a window which can also receive input from the user, and that is called input box. So first, let's have a look at the message box. So you can see this is a message box. This has a title, a body, a button, and this is input box. Also again a title and something written in the body, then OK cancel, cross, and then here is the space for entering some data. So let's go and look at the code of message box. So here we are, ready to rock and roll. Okay, sub p message box. So this is our basic structure of the macro, and the command to call the message box, or the function to call the message box, is msg box. msg box, right? So this is our name of our function. So I say message box hello world. So this is all about it. Let's run this. Here comes our message box, the pop-up window. The title is Microsoft Excel with a cross, hello world, and OK. So if I say OK, this will end my macro. So this is the simplest form of message box. Let's go to our best buddy. And who is our best buddy? Here comes our best buddy, and it is Google. VBA MSG box. Let's try to explore more how Microsoft talk with us. Here it comes. So syntax, settings, return values, remarks, examples, see also. So let's go to simple. Syntax. Message box, MSG box, then prompt. Prompt is what appears in the body of our message box, and that is um, what you saw on that was what appeared in our message box, and that was hello world. So hello world was the prompt, and then buttons. What about buttons? We had what? We had what? Let's go and see. Let's go and see what happened if I execute this. There's only one button, OK button. Okay, so let's go back to Google and see what Microsoft has to say. Microsoft is saying buttons, buttons, buttons. Here are the buttons. VB OK only, value 0, display OK button, OK cancel, abort, retry, ignore, yes no cancel, yes no, retry cancel, critical, question, exclamation, information, and so on. There are so many button settings. So let's say we want to say yes or no. This is the yes no button. I can type VB yes no, I can type 4. Where I have to type, let's go and see here after hello world, because this is the second argument, comma, if I say 4, and here the help is also available. If I say 4, you can see it will be accepted. Oh, this says If I say 4, it will be accepted. Okay, but there is an error. The error is not due to 4. We can use VB yes no also. Error is same, expected 0. Why expected 0? So this is a simple concept to understand. When message box has only OK button, there was no output because there was simple one option, and that was to press OK. Now we have two options when we use yes and no button. Either the user will press yes or the user will press no. So that output of message box needs to be stored in some variable. So let's create a variable, and let's say it is result is equal to message box yes and no. Let me push it left. Yeah. So v result is equal to message box hello world yes or no. So let's run this. So we have this Microsoft Excel hello world yes and no. If I press yes, it ends, and if I say no, it again the macro ends because I have not programmed yet what to do if the user press yes. So let's create another message box, msg box, and display the result result. Here it is, message box that will display the result, and let's run it, from here. Compile error, why box stop macros run hello world yes, and the answer is 6. Wow. And if I say run again and say no, the answer is 7. 6 and 7. What is 6 and 7? Let's go to our buddy Google. And what is 6 and 7? Return values. OK is 1, VB yes is 6, and VB no is 7. So if I press yes button, the answer will be 6, and if I press 7 button no button, the answer would be 7. So let's do some more coding and play with the result. If v result is equal to yes, you can type 6, but I don't type 6 because I don't recall what is 6. What I can understand is VBS. We can also use, if I look at this, I can use the constant and I can use the value. Both works. So if result is VBS, which is easy to understand when I read it, then do what? Then display, if you can see, yeah, you can see, there's display yes. Yeah, a lot of yes. Let's go to next line. Yeah, so if a result is VBS, then display yes. If result is equal to VB no, then display no, then display is equal to, and then display is equal to, because it's a variable. So you didn't tell me that I am making an error. V display is equal to yes, and V display is equal to no, and in message box we should display the display icon, display variable. So let's run as yes, it is yes, great. So what if I press no? It is no. So this is how you can use a message box, and you can play with the result with the output of the message box, and that is the output came from the buttons. So if I go back to the syntax of message box, the first optional argument was buttons. The next one is title. What is title? Let's try to use it. Uh, this is VB yes and no. Let's bring it down to. So VB yes no, comma, and the third, and that is the title. And let's say the title is my world. And let's run this macro from our sheet. And there's syntax error. Why there is a syntax error? Because we didn't put inverted commas after the word, and you didn't tell me. Macros run. So you can see my world is appearing where Microsoft Excel was appearing, and hello world is still there. So title is the top of the box, so you can customize that too. So if I say yes, here it comes, Microsoft Excel. Why? We did title should be my world. What happened? Think about it. What went wrong? Remember one thing. VBA does exactly what we want, we tell it to do. Nothing can happen outside that. In the first message box, the title was my world. But in the second message box, there was no title. So the default title, Microsoft Excel, appeared. So this was about message box. I hope you have grasped the idea how to use the pop-up window, and the function is message box. Let's try the second pop-up uh, window, and that I told you it would accept the input. It will accept the input from the user. So let's create user input macro. So I have put a V so that you can understand it's a variable, it's a name. You can use any name, you can use any word which is not a reserved word. So user input is not a reserved word, it's not VBA, it's my name. So again, in input I have to, the input box gives me an output, and that output should be saved in some variable. So instead of variable, let's save the input directly in the cell. Range a1 dot value, that's bad, dot value is equal to, and the function name is input box, and let's say something. So input box, and within the brackets, just like all the functions, after a function name there should be a bracket. So input box, a bracket, and inverted commas, whatever you want to display. And let's run this from here. User input, run. And here it comes, say something, OK cancel, Microsoft Excel, and I say this is a test pop-up input. And where this input will go? Remember, range a1 dot value, here it comes. Simple. Range a1 dot value is equal to input box, say something. So any input that is entered is going to save in the cell a1. In the start of the series, I told you that we are going to use Excel as a standalone application or as a database. So what happens in database like in Oracle Financials, in SAP or any other applications? The user doesn't know where the data is being saved. He only inputs in a certain popped up window. Once data is entered, he clicks on the post or the save button and data is saved somewhere in the backyard tables. So our backyard table is this Excel worksheet now. So our user is going to enter his input or her input in this input box, and that input will be saved wherever we want to save it, either in a variable or directly into a cell. So this is how this window works. Let's try to customize this window a bit more and go to our friend once again, our buddy Google, and Google VBA input box. I'm trying to you to get customized with this help. This is very useful. Again, Microsoft. I love Microsoft. They have done a wonderful job in Microsoft Excel. So let's look at the syntax: prompt, title, and default. Prompt, title, and default. So when I say input box and bracket, here comes the help. Prompt, then title is optional, default. So say something is back, and let's go to the next line, comma, and then the title. The title is user input required. Let's run this and see what happens. So instead of Microsoft Excel, there is user input required, say something. Okay, and let's go back to Google and see what Google has to tell us more. And then there is default. What is default? Default is whenever I run this input box, there is no default value present in this, you can say, cell or in this input field. So if I want to show something that is, let's say, whatever, what should we say? We should say today is not Monday. So let's run this, and you can see today is not Monday is already entered. If I say okay, so this will be accepted as input box output for the cell A1. But what if I say something, today is Thursday, and here it goes. So what I can type, or I can use the default input. What else we have? What else we have in input box? Let's see, where is my cursor? I just lost it. Comma, X position and Y position. So currently my input box is appearing in center of the screen. What if I want to display a bit left, a bit towards the top? Then I will use this X position and Y position, and you can enter the pixel numbers and use this. So this was about the input box and the message box. So here is a small assignment for you. Create a message box that will pick title from A1 and pick message body from A2, and then create another macro that will pick input box title from A3, a body from A4, a default input from A5, and whatever the user types that will be stored in A6. So this is the assignment for you. Till next video. But there is something you should always remember. And what you have to remember, if you learned something, give us a thumbs up, like it, and if you have a question, leave a comment, and think where you can use these two functions, message box and input box, in your practical lives. I will consolidate all these functions when we do the project, but try to think what you can where you can use these functions with the knowledge you currently have.